Welcome back. We're looking at how the upbeat campaign message of US presidential candidate Barack Obama has attracted a global following, and ask whether or not Senator Obama can deliver on his promise of real change. Joining us to discuss this is author Jean Healy of the Cato Institute, Khalid Hassan of the Pakistani newspaper The Daily Times, and Charles Smith of South Africa's Media 24. Let's get back to our discussion. And Khalid Hassan, it's kind of interesting that Barack Obama has got this huge popularity around the world. In Europe, he seems to have this phenomenal support from almost every country. There's an irony that US voters don't really care so much about America's foreign policy, and yet there are all these people around the world who, as I mentioned, can't really vote for him, who are placing their hopes on this new potential president. To what extent do you think they'll be disappointed if he really does fail to deliver?
I think anybody would be better than President Bush. Obviously, once you get into office, you realize that there are certain things you can't do, and the campaign promises, of course, become your biggest challenge. But having said that, I would still concede. I think one has to concede that Obama has a lot of idealism. When you listen to McCain, it's the same old tired message. It doesn't give you a sense of confidence, but Obama does. Also, he has said that he will talk to Iran. And the way he has been castigated for saying this,
right.
And
he's backpedaling now on this.
I know, but the fact is that he has said it. He's an American politician who has had the courage to say this.
I have to read to you a quote from the Daily Times, your paper, from Najmuddin Sheikh, who's the former Foreign Secretary, who wrote this on the 26th of May in this year. He said, "There will not be an iota of difference between Obama's position and that of the present administration. What he said with regard to acting unilaterally if there was actionable intelligence about the location of Al-Qaeda operatives in Pakistan's tribal areas was really no more than what the Bush administration has been doing." So there's still a lot of skepticism, even in Pakistan.
I think you must not undermine Obama's personality, and one must not be skeptical, one must not be cynical about his ability to do things. I think he will definitely want to do things in a way which have not been done before, and certainly not by his predecessor.
From the Philippines, the Valdemar Tamayo has written in saying, "The world's choice is Barack Obama. He looks peaceful. He would rather help us than to help. He would rather help us to help ourselves. Let's cross our fingers." And I wonder, it's kind of interesting. They're placing some view on the fact he looks peaceful. I wonder what that says for the way the presidential race has been going and how the candidates position themselves.
Well, a lot of the emails you're reading, they're very typical of what we hear domestically about Obama from Obama supporters, and he's a visionary. He's going to bring change. There's so much hope is invested in this, and I do think we have a duty to be skeptical. This is not a shaman. This is not a wizard. This is not a God figure, and the president was never supposed to be. The president's supposed to be a limited constitutional officer. Obama is a professional politician. He is going to be constrained by the political realities of the United States, and I think he will actually be under more pressure than someone like, well, for instance, in the early Cold War, a figure like Eisenhower, because he was unchallenged, his national security credentials were unchallenged, was able to take a more restrained position. I think Obama is going to be under serious pressure from his right to prove that he's tough on terror, to prove that he's willing to use force, and I hope that is not the case unless there is a situation where military force is actually necessary. But I think we should not discount. I think we should not discount the pressures he's going to be under.
Let me read to you an article from the Turkish daily newspaper, the Vural Cengiz. It was from February of this year, which says, "Barack Obama is an African American. He knows suffering, hunger, and danger. He is not a rich man. He understands the issues of poor and middle class families. He also understands poor and middle class nations. Turkey stands right there. He is good for Turks as well as the rest of the world." Of course, people are finding any connection they can. But as you say,
grew up in Hawaii. Come on.
he has limitations on what he can do. What would it take for him to have the kind of executive power that would allow him to enact changes that we haven't seen up to now? What would he need? A complete change in the setup of the House, or what?
Well, there's a lot he could do on his own. And he has made some promises that are very good from my perspective. I would like to see limited executive power more limited. I would like to see a retreat from some of the theories offered by David Addington and Dick Cheney and John Yoo in the Bush administration. But I think there are the conventional story that's told about the growth of executive power under the Bush administration is about neoconservatives in the administration, ideologues who push this, and that's true. But there's also there's a reason why presidents want to have warrantless wiretap authority, because they're going to be held politically responsible for any attack of any significance in the United States, which I think is actually an unrealistic public expectation, but they're driven to seek more power because the president is seen as a figure who's supposed to be able to rescue you.
So they're carrying more responsibility.
Yes.
In that effect, yeah.
Responsibility leads to more power.
Well, Charles, there's an email that had come in from Norwich in the UK, and I want to put this to you because, of course, South Africa went through a huge, I guess, healing process, and certainly the Truth and Reconciliation process. This one from Norwich, Paul Avali wrote in saying, I hope Obama wins and brings the previous administration to justice in the US courts for crimes against humanity. I hope he makes the US a member of the International Criminal Court. It would be a change to see American leaders held responsible for their actions. Now, I just get your perspective, obviously as a South African, having seen so much change, is that even realistic?
From my perspective, no, I don't think that would be a wise thing for Obama. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think it's a Democratic Party's point of view. And the criminal court, I don't think America would go that way. But from South Africa's perspective, it helped us a lot. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, it helped us to look at our own wounds, to try to heal them, to talk to each other, to listen to stories of people who've suffered a lot, and that helped us for a few years. The problem now with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is that nobody followed up on the process. Nobody listened again and again to the people who suffered. Nobody tried to seriously address the shortcomings, housing, the maybe financial benefits for people who lost family members, and that created, I would guess, the bigger crisis we're in right now, and that's a big danger.
Khalid Hassan, just a sort of note as we wrap it up. There was an article in the paper, the Gush Shalom, in March this year. The article says, real friendship means when you see that your friend is drunk, you don't encourage him to drive. I'm longing for an American president who will have the courage and honesty to tell our Israeli leaders, dear friends, you are drunk with power. You are speeding along a highway that leads to an abyss. Perhaps Barack Obama will be such a friend. And of course, one of the issues that is, as we touched on, the Israeli-American relationship. George Bush wants to leave a legacy, but of course is finding it very hard. Can you see Obama being treated differently in this respect?
Well, unfortunately, it's very difficult for any American politician to take a fair and balanced position on the Middle East. There is such fear of appearing to be anti-Semitic. I mean, this is something which is immediately hurled at you. And Obama, of course, will be a prisoner of this mindset. But we can only hope that he'll be more forthcoming. And you know, the fact that his book is called The Audacity of Hope. So I think hope is audacious, and I think Obama, if he remains true to what is expected of him. Also, I would also like to say is that he's going to be judged very harshly also, because when you hope, invest a lot of hope in somebody, then you judge him against those hopes, and maybe some people will be disillusioned, but I think he's going to give it a try.
Well, Khalid Hassan, Jean Healy and Charles Smith, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sorry we're out of time there, but thank you for the debate. Thank you for being with us too. Don't forget, you can send your suggestions and comments to riz@aljazeera.net for any future topics. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.